In 2013, a 26-year-old musician from New York posted a 6-second video of himself making a beat on a desk. It got 1 million loops in 48 hours. He had never been on television. He had no record deal. He had no manager, no publicist, no marketing budget. He had 6 seconds and a phone. His name was Shawn Mendes. You know what happened next? But here is the part nobody talks about. The platform that launched him. The platform that proved 6 seconds was enough to change a life. The platform that invented the entire short-form video economy that TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts now generate hundreds of billions of dollars from annually. It doesn't exist anymore. Not because it failed, not because people stopped using it, not because a better product came along and won the market fairly. It was killed, deliberately, by the company that owned it. At the precise moment, it was becoming the most valuable thing in social media. And the person who made that decision, the person who looked at the fastest growing video platform on the internet and chose to shut it down rather than invest in it, that decision will go down as one of the most catastrophic strategic mistakes in the history of Silicon Valley. This is the story of Vine, and it is not a story about an app. It is a story about what happens when small creative genius meets large corporate cowardice. Dom Hofmann, Russ Yusupov, and Colin Kroll built Vine in 2012. The concept was almost aggressively simple. 6 seconds, looping, mobile only, no editing suite, no filters, no complexity. You opened the app, held your thumb on the screen, and whatever happened in those 6 seconds became your video. The constraint was the entire point. 6 seconds forced creativity in a way that unlimited time never could. You couldn't ramble, you couldn't pad. You had to be interesting from the first frame, or the loop started again and the viewer was already gone. It was the most brutally honest format in the history of social media. Every second either earned the next one, or it didn't. Creators adapted with a speed that stunned even the founders. Within weeks of launch, Vine had developed its own grammar, jump cuts between scenes that told complete stories in 3 seconds, comedy timing so compressed it made traditional sketch writers look slow, visual tricks, audio loops, collaborative formats where creators built on each other's videos in chains that stretched across hundreds of accounts. A genuine creative culture was forming in real time. And then Twitter made a call. In October 2012, before Vine had even officially launched to the public, Twitter acquired it for a reported $30 million. $30 million for an app that hadn't shipped yet, for 3 founders and a concept, for 6 seconds and a loop. It seemed like validation. It seemed like the kind of acquisition that would give Vine the resources, the infrastructure, and the distribution muscle to scale into something enormous. It was the beginning of the end, but nobody knew that yet. So let's stay in 2013 for a moment, because 2013 was the year Vine became a cultural phenomenon so significant that brands, celebrities, and the entire entertainment industry had to pay attention. By the middle of 2013, Vine was the most downloaded app in the App Store. Not most downloaded social app, most downloaded app, period. The numbers were unlike anything the mobile internet had produced at that point. Vine loops were being watched 1.5 billion times every day, every single day. The platform had created a new category of celebrity, Vine famous, that operated completely outside the traditional entertainment infrastructure. No agents, no studios, no gatekeepers. If you were funny in 6 seconds, you were famous. King Bach, Lily Pons, Thomas Sanders, Brittany Furlan, Logan Paul, Jake Paul. These were not people who had been discovered by Hollywood. These were people who had discovered themselves on Vine and built audiences of millions before any traditional media company knew their names. And here is what made Vine genuinely, historically significant. It wasn't just entertainment. Vine was proving something that the entire media industry had refused to believe, that attention spans weren't shrinking, they were being wasted, that audiences didn't need 30 minutes to feel satisfied, that if you respected their time and made every second earn its place, they would watch the same 6 seconds 50 times in a row and feel nothing but delight. Every short-form video platform that exists today was built on that proof. Vine wrote the thesis. Everyone else got the degree. Okay, if you are watching this and thinking this channel is exactly what you needed, subscribe to Pocompo right now and drop where you're watching from in the comments. We do this every week. Let's go. So where did it go wrong? The honest answer is slowly, then all at once. The first crack appeared in 2014, and it was a people problem before it was a platform problem. Vine's most successful creators, the people generating billions of loops, the people who were the entire reason anyone opened the app, were making Twitter and Vine rich while making themselves nothing. No revenue sharing, no monetization tools, no way to convert the audiences they had built into income beyond the brand deals they had to arrange entirely on their own. A group of Vine's top creators, people with combined audiences in the tens of millions, approached Twitter with a proposal. Pay us, not much, just enough to acknowledge that we are the product you are selling to advertisers. Give us some version of what YouTube gives its creators. Twitter's response was essentially no, not a negotiation, not a counteroffer, not even a genuine conversation about what a creator monetization program might look like. No, those creators began looking at other platforms. YouTube was paying, Instagram was building video features, Snapchat was growing. The platforms were competing for creative talent, and Vine, the platform those creators had built from nothing, was the only one treating them like an inconvenience rather than an asset. But even that wasn't the fatal blow. The fatal blow came from inside Twitter's own boardroom. In 2015, Twitter was in trouble. User growth had stalled. The stock was underperforming. Advertisers were questioning whether Twitter's engagement metrics justified its ad pricing. Jack Dorsey had returned as CEO and was under enormous pressure to demonstrate a path to profitability that Wall Street could believe in. Twitter needed to cut costs, and someone in that building looked at Vine, the fastest growing video platform in the world, the platform that had pioneered the format that was about to become the dominant form of media consumption globally, and saw a line item. Not an asset, a cost. In October 2016, Twitter announced it was shutting down Vine. No acquisition, no spin-off, no attempt to sell it to someone who might actually value what it had built. Just off. The app would remain available to browse for a period, then the servers would go dark, and 6 billion pieces of creative work produced by millions of creators across 4 years would simply cease to exist. The internet reacted with a grief that surprised even people who had never used the app. Because Vine wasn't just an app to the people who had grown up on it, it was the first place they had ever felt seen. The first platform that had rewarded raw creativity without asking for credentials. The first proof that you didn't need anyone's permission to be funny, talented, and loved by millions of strangers simultaneously. Twitter killed it with a budget memo. Here is the number that should make you genuinely angry. In 2016, the same year Twitter shut down Vine, a Chinese tech company called ByteDance launched an app called Douyin in the Chinese market. A year later, they launched the international version. They called it TikTok. The format? 6 to 15-second looping videos, mobile only, algorithm-driven discovery that surfaced creative content regardless of follower count, a system specifically designed to reward the kind of raw, unpolished, personality-driven creativity that Vine had pioneered 4 years earlier. TikTok is currently valued at over $200 billion. Let that number exist in your mind for a moment, alongside the fact that Twitter shut down the platform that invented TikTok's entire format because it couldn't justify the server costs. ByteDance didn't invent short-form video, Vine did. ByteDance just had the strategic intelligence to recognize what Twitter had decided to throw away and built a $200 billion company from the blueprint Twitter abandoned. This is not hindsight. People inside Twitter knew this was coming. Vine's own founders begged for the resources to compete. Creators warned publicly that they were watching the platform collapse from neglect. Tech journalists wrote the pieces. The evidence was everywhere. Twitter looked at all of it and chose the budget memo. Dom Hofmann tried to bring Vine back in 2017. He announced V2, a successor app, to a response so overwhelming it crashed his website within hours. The demand was real. The audience was still there. The grief had never fully resolved. V2 never launched. In 2019, a different team launched Byte, another Vine spiritual successor, built by one of Vine's original co-founders. It got 1.3 million downloads in its first weekend. Then TikTok's algorithm update in 2020 brought a wave of new users so massive it made every competitor irrelevant overnight. The window had closed. Not because the idea was wrong, not because the audience had moved on, but because the 4-year head start Twitter threw away had been picked up by someone else. and that someone else had used it to build something so dominant that even the original creator couldn't compete with his own invention. Vine had 200 million active users when Twitter shut it down. Not declining users, active users, people opening the app daily, watching loops, building culture, generating content that was being embedded across the entire internet. Twitter killed a platform with 200 million active users because it couldn't figure out how to make money from it. 3 years later, TikTok had 1 billion. The 6-second loop that Dom Hofmann invented in a New York apartment in 2012 is now the most consumed media format on the planet. Every teenager who has ever posted a reel, every brand that has ever made a short, every creator who has ever gone viral on TikTok, they are all living inside an idea that Twitter owned and discarded like it was nothing. Vine didn't die. It was donated to China. This is Pocompo. Every collapse has a cause. We find it. The next platform making this exact mistake right now won't know it until it's too late. Subscribe, and we'll show you exactly which one.